Welcome back to Scandia TV. Today we are actually in where we manufacture a lot of our stuff, and we have our actual product developer here, Steve.
One of them.
One of them.
Yes.
That's right. So today we wanted to talk about our high limit switches. We get a lot of questions about these, and we wanted to cover a couple of key points to help you guys out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know why I like talking about safety switches?
Why do you like talking about safety switches?
I just gave you the
because they're for safety. Safety first.
Yes, safety first. So, as Sandy, our lovely host, mentioned, high limit switches are a main part, a crucial part of the sauna heater, also known as the safety switches. But the thing is, the safety switches are not meant to participate in the controlling of your sauna heater. Your thermostat and your timer are. And the misconception is, a lot of people call us, and whether they have our sauna heaters, or you can hear them making our sauna heaters in the background right now, or our competitor sauna heaters, saying that their safety switch is bad. But usually it's not. It's related to the design or related to the thermostat, which is meant to control the sauna heater.
So when the safety switch is triggered, it's not a bad thing necessarily.
Typically, no, if the safety switch is triggering, it means the safety switch is doing its job. It's protecting it. So most safety switches in sauna heaters, like in ours, will trigger anywhere between 195 to 200 degrees, which means that if it's tripping, the thermostat usually is not doing its job. Most sauna heaters and most commercial operators that have fitness clubs and operate saunas will run them at 165 to 170 is a typical target rate for commercial sauna. So if they see the high limit switch tripping, it's not because it's bad, it's usually because the temperature is getting to that 195, 200 temperature range.
So are there ways to trick the thermostat to making that happen?
You're so clever. Yeah. You're so clever. It's true. And we see, because at Scandia we do 90% commercial facilities, and we're all over the country. We've been doing this for 50 years, so we have a lot of install base. And usually when we get calls, which we do every day, from operators and maintenance guys saying, hey, our high limit switch is tripping, it's usually because somebody is tricking the thermostat. Look, there are a lot of people in growing numbers who want hotter saunas. Myself, I lived in Finland, I lived in Russia. Those guys are pros, and they'll take their saunas at 200 degrees. I personally, I have a max about 180. But the thing is that what they want, that 10%, maybe 20%, depending where you're at in the country, they want that extra temperature that you cannot get. The visceral effect of a hot sun that you cannot get at 175 or 165. So their tendencies are to pour water on the thermostat sensor bowl. So when they do this, they're tricking the sauna system to think it's a lot cooler than it is in there. And yes, it'll turn on the sauna, it'll raise the temperature, and eventually when it hits 195 or 200, it'll trip the high limit switch. They get what they want, and then they leave the sauna, and then the next person going in there is like sitting in a 70-degree room. So that's how it works.
So for a homeowner, and if they have issues with the high limit switch and it keeps tripping, what are some things they need to look at to see why that is causing that?
That's a good question. So again, going back to our commercial lineage, we in the commercial environment, we typically control the design process with the architects and the general contractors. And what we focus a lot on is venting, and the right size of heater for the space. We do a cubic foot analysis and traffic analysis, and we'll give the right size heater. So number one is venting. Our sauna heaters, for example, work on convection, and this is an example of our sauna heater. And one of the things that we require, these things are off the ground like 10 inches. So airflow goes through it. It's very efficient heater. But if you impede the airflow in a convection-based heater, what happens is the air does not flow through the unit quickly enough, and so you build up heat inside the room. Therefore, they're reading the temperature in the room is not actually the reading that you'd normally get inside, because the air is not moving at a normal rate. And so So, venting and positioning the heater is very important. The second thing is, as I mentioned, sizing of the heater itself. A lot of homeowners will not understand the venting, but they won't understand the sizing. In some cases, they'll think, well, I can get away with a cheaper heater and a smaller. I go out there, once a week and turn it on. Well, it doesn't matter. You have to have the right size sauna heater. The analogy would be like if you were to put a 4-cylinder Honda engine into a big Suburban, right? Yeah, you can make it work, but if you expect a normal performance out of the Suburban, you will burn out that engine very quickly. So venting and right size of heater is very important for the homeowner to understand that.
Okay. Okay, going back to commercial environments, when we talked about the thermostat, and if the thermostat isn't run correctly, that can trip the high limit switch. But if it's being tricked by the sauna bathers, how do club owners and like commercial environments, how do they deal with that?
It's a great question. It's like the operator's paradox, so to speak. Here's the deal. We've seen the signs, right? Do not pour water on the rocks, or do not pour water on the thermostat sensor bolt. This is a common problem for operators. But what do they want? What do the bathers want? As we said earlier, there's this growing army of crafty sauna bathers out there that are tricking the high limit thermostat sensor bulb by pouring water on a wet towel and so forth. They just want the increase in temperature. The problem is that traditional sauna heaters, the way they're designed, is that when you do pour water on the rocks, the rocks are typically embedded in with the elements, which have electrical connections below it. And so when you're pouring, you have members pouring water on those rocks like, 10, 20, 30 times a day, it really mitigates the lifespan of the elements and creates maintenance problems. A lot of the maintenance people that we talk to always comment about how corroded the elements are in the connections and the rewiring, and it's a big problem. The bathers, they just want a hotter sauna. And the easiest way to get there is by allowing them to pour water on the rocks. And a smart design of sauna heater, and I just guilty as charged, we make a sauna heater that has a solid pan design. So we encourage, as opposed to most manufacturers, them to put water on the rocks. And the water is there with the rocks in a solid pan, and they get that instant humidity hit. And it is powerful in a commercial environment. If you can imagine a 12, 15, 18 kW unit hitting it with water on the rocks, it jacks that temperature up. It's not the actual temperature, the perceived temperature. They get what they want, they're happy, they move on, and you don't have the problem with the high limit switch tripping. And it's the best of both worlds. But that's what they want. They need that drug, the heat.
The heat.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for coming on today and explaining these high limit switches just a little bit more. We really appreciate your time.
Of course, I work here.
So that's it, guys. Good room design, the right size heater properly installed, giving those sauna bathers the power to control their own environment. Stay tuned for more things sauna and steam here at Scandia TV.